Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing as good as I have been doing. I missed you. I hope you missed me. It's Brain Smasher's Metal Nerd channel of unholy and filthy delights. I just got back today from Chicago's Metal Threat Fest, which was quite a bit of a disaster, but I still enjoyed myself. I got some records to show you. I wanted to tell you about what did go down at Metal Threat Fest yesterday. So let's get started. So this festival has been going on planning stages for so long. It was a 3 or 4 day festival in Chicago with a fuckload of good bands playing. But the only one, there's a lot of bands that I like but have seen in the past that didn't really feel like doing the whole festival thing. But there was one band in particular that I really wanted to see. One of my favorite bands, The Ruins of Beverast, who sadly had to cancel about 2 weeks before the festival itself. Surprisingly enough, the promoter was able to come up with some replacements. Oh, also Drowned was the other band from Germany who had to drop out. And Drowned had a pretty great album 2 years ago called Adela Species. So I was pretty pissed off that those bands had to drop. And honestly, at that point when I heard that, I was ready to just call it. Even though Absu and Inquisition were playing, and I love those bands. I've seen them a couple of times though too. So really the big draw on it for me was at Beverast, and they dropped out. And I was all but ready to drop out. But the friend of mine who I was going to go with didn't want to drop out. So I went ahead and went. And I'm glad we did. Had a great time. I picked up a lot of great records. I saw Absu and they blew my fucking mind, like they always do. They were so good. They played a killer set. They played songs that you don't ordinarily hear. They played the Golden Torch of Iliad, a shield with a steel face. They finished with Stone of Destiny. It was a killer set. It was awesome to see Proscriptor come from behind the kit and do some singing. And here the drummer is a total ample replacement for him. So Absu just fucking killed. And then Inquisition went on. Now I had seen Inquisition a couple of years ago in a shitty tour with like Christian, who I love seeing live, and Malaches, who were great live and I love, and a couple other bands though that were just shit. And they only got to play 3 songs, so I felt like my Inquisition live experience was undernourished, if you will. So it was great to see a full Inquisition set. They killed, of course. They're totally professionals at doing that. They don't fuck around. So yeah, it was a good time at that show. And also, one of the openers, there's this new band kind of causing a lot of hype because they're really good. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. It's UADA, but I like to pronounce it the way my friend Jeremy pronounces it. Like he says, like if you were from the East Coast and you wanted to say water, so you say water. So I like to just call the band water. You want to drink water or something? What? So that's how I've been saying it. But water killed. At first, I kind of played them off. I saw this video that's been going around. It's like a totally professionally shot video with like a drone. They're in the forest in these totally beautiful landscapes. I think they're from Portland, and I imagine it's the landscapes around Portland, where they're flying around, showing them doing their song and stuff. And I just kind of got like these guys are really copying MGLA vibe off of them. But that was undeserved, and I sold them short. I saw them live, and I think they are a little more influenced by Clandestine Blaze and a lot of the Miko Aspa kind of stuff. So once that kind of clicked in my head after a couple of songs, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So they put on a great show. Their last 2 songs were fucking mind-blowing. I'll probably be picking up their album at some point. But yeah, if you get a chance to see Wada live, check that out. So, yeah. Oh, I also got a second to catch. So there was another festival going on downstairs or like next door. And for some reason I was able to sneak in and I got to see Anacon. Unfortunately, I fucking missed Finn. I love Finn. Wanted to see them live, and they were right fucking there, and I missed it. I don't know if it was during what is set or what, but I would have loved to see Finn because they fucking rule. Anyways, yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about the Metal Threat Fest. I hope next year he can put it together a little bit better. Oh, I forgot to mention, okay, so Rose Beverast and Drown dropped off, and then they were replaced by Pseudo God and Slut Vomit. Slut Vomit I wasn't familiar with, but with a name like that, I don't fucking care to be familiar with that. Whatever. They were just like black thrash shit. And Pseudo God missed their flight and didn't show up. So it was a much shorter set than I had planned on seeing, I guess. But all the Blasphemy shirts were out in full regalia, and it was a good time to see another metal show. It had been a while since I was at like a good metal fest. But it's okay. So I went to Reckless Records in Chicago, which is a decent record store. As far as I know, it's probably the biggest, best one in Chicago. And I didn't know that this had been reissued on LP. If you don't know this, this is Sacrificial's Forever Entangled. Now, I just recently, well, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, discovered this album. The CD version of this goes for several $100s. So, obviously, I was never going to pick that up. So I'm really happy that this got reissued. I haven't had a chance to really listen to this as much as I would like. I downloaded it a couple of years ago. It blew my mind. But it wasn't one of those things that I kept in, like, constant rotation. In fact, I probably kind of forgot about it for a bit. But so it's great to see this on LP. Double LP. It includes both of their demos that came out before the album. It comes with a poster. I don't know if it's remastered or not. I haven't really gone through and read everything about it. But killer fucking poster. I might put this up. We'll see. But if you haven't heard this record, it's fucking incredible. I'm still sick, by the way. This is some of the most frantic, insane thrash I've ever heard. If you've ever heard Hell Witch, I guess I would say that that might be the closest thing that I've ever heard of to Sacrificial. But, God, this is just fucking nuts. It's just frenetic guitar work, super intricate tempos and drums. It's just mind-boggling how technical it is. This is one of the most intense thrash records I've ever heard. So, it's kind of weird to call it thrash, I guess, because it's not anything like Creator, Destruction, or Sodom or anything like that. But it's thrash at its core. But it's just such a heightened technicality and fury about it that it's really a unique beast on its own. So if that sounds interesting to you, I think this will blow your fucking mind. Great record, and I was surprised to see it for just $20. So yeah, just a double LP. I think they did a version of it. I was doing some looking online. This is just the black version of it. I think they did a version of it that's like red and yellow splatter or something, like the colors that are on the cover of it. But I picked this up for $20, and I imagine it's probably still available for $20. Although it is limited to 500 and hand numbered, it's on the Crypt. The Crypt apparently is doing some great reissues of a lot of old obscure death metal kind of stuff. So it totally makes sense that they would put this out. But like I said, I didn't even know that this had been reissued. Really stoked to find it. So I didn't know that this had been reissued. And it's Darbulia's Mysticism Macabre. Man, this album's so fucking gnarly. Nuclear War Now put this out. It's maybe as much as 6 years old or so. I want to say this came out maybe 2012, so maybe 4 years old. I'm not sure. But it only came out on CD, and it didn't really get very good distribution. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this band because they're really strange and unique. And as you know, that's totally up my alley. But they have this really unique sort of atonal, dissonant style of riffing about them. It's just fucking evil and nasty. And this record is so good. And I found this for $18 for from Salvation Distro at the fest, and I can't get this put together again. I promise you, my next video will be so much more good because I won't be sick. I'm so sick of being sick. Okay, anyways, so that does it for the LPs. Like I was thinking about mentioning in this video, this will be a good indication of like how my collection has come together, because when I go to a show or something like this, I usually come back with a big stack of CDs and a couple of LPs, and that's how I've amassed this collection like that. So what we're listening to is one of the CDs I picked up. This is Moss, Chthonic Rites. As you can hear, it's just like a howling, feedback-laden funeral doom album. It's not really all that musical or anything. It's just kind of like a, I don't know, it's pure atmosphere, but I just can't get enough of it. It's so fucking deep, dark. Aurora Borealis put this out maybe 6 or 8 years ago, I want to say. But yeah, I picked this up for a couple of bucks at Reckless Records. I've loved this album ever since I first heard it. Ugh, excuse me. Next, this is pretty much in the same vein. This is Dusk. Now, this is a reissue of both their self-titled album, Dusk, and their Majestic Thou in Ruin demo. This CD also goes for around $175 or so. So I wasn't going to pony up on the original version of that. And so it has the demo and the full-length album. Got some liner notes in there. So this was reissued by Dark Symphonies a couple of years ago. Last year, actually. And good news, I was looking into this the other day. Dusk is actually back together. Ordinarily, you know, I'm not really into reunions and stuff. I can't imagine that they're going to be able to recreate anything as cool as this record is, but you know, I hope they're having a good time. So this is like the epitome of doomy death metal, or deathy doom metal, if you will. It is way on the slower side of things. It's got a total analog production to it. I love the drum and the guitar sound on this record. It's just so fucking heavy. So if that sounds like anything up your alley, I would maybe compare it to like Disembowelment, kind of. Yeah, it's a lot more musical than this Moss record, so check that out. Members of Dusk went on to do a band called Aphotic, who I've already talked about. That was pretty good. So moving on. I kind of slept on this album. This is Rapture's Futile. Now, back when this came out in 2001, I want to say I heard it and thought, a little too clean for me, not really my sort of thing. And I just kind of pushed it aside and never really wanted to hear it again. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine was talking about it, and I remembered it, and I was like, what does that even sound like? And my buddy just loves this record so much, so I downloaded it and listened to it and fell in love with it. It's just like, it's the epitome of dark metal. It's just like mid-paced, highly melodic, not quite doom, a little bit like faster than doom, highly emotional and melodic, harmonious kind of stuff. But I love this album. It's so catchy. There's a track on here, track 7, Someone I Don't Know. That song is so fucking good. These riffs just get stuck in my head for days. It's so emotional and just gripping. Makes you want to get into tears. Bring you to tears. Alright, where do we go next? So this is an album, I bet you haven't heard of this. I bet nobody's fucking heard of this band. This is Videog Sveor, and the album's called In the Distance. I can't remember where I ever first was turned on to this, but this is one of the most dissonant and just oddball guitar work I've ever heard. It's such a strange beast. Paragon Records put this out in 2001, And like I said, I downloaded it maybe a couple of years ago and thought, this is fucking weird. And I want to say like my hard drive crashed and I forgot about it. But then actually the other day I thought, man, Videog's Feor, I should listen to that again. And so sure enough, it popped up at Reckless Records for like $4. I was on it, stoked to have that. If you're into Volkvong's End for the atonal and dissonant and just strange riffing, you should definitely check out Videog's Feor for something kind of parallel. I wouldn't say like the atmosphere or the style necessarily overall matches it, but the guitar work and the really strange kind of serpentine dissonant riffing is somewhat similar and kind of satisfies me in the same way that Volkvong's End does, and that's one of my favorite bands. Okay, so that does it for that type of stuff. Next, I've got Helgo, Death Conquers All. This is just a fucking infernal black metal record. They don't pull any punches. It's just straightforward, pummeling black metal from Georgia, I want to say. I was surprised to see the drummer from Inquisition last night was wearing a Helgo shirt. I thought they were a little more underground than that, but they've been doing some touring the last couple of years, and I think the guy from Helgo actually married Dana Duffy from Mythic, the Demonic Christ, Mythic, a couple of years ago, and I think they're kind of getting around and playing some shows and getting some notoriety. And they deserve it. Their last record, Infernal Zeal, was fucking great. I need to pick that up. But Death Conquers All also is a really good record. I would say it's kind of like Cult of Death, if you will. A little bit like that. Next we've got Eternal Sufferings, Reflections of Tragedy and Misery. And this again is a reissue of a really, really old record that I actually have. But this has been remastered with demos added to it. I first heard of this band because I was internet friends with Wayne, who sings for this band and now plays guitar and sings in Golgotha. It was also in Decrepitaph, etc., etc. So this has been reissued, remastered. Cool to have. The guitar sound on the remastered full length, which starts on track 7, I want to say. So crunchy and amazing. But this isn't really something I ordinarily listen to. So if I compare it to something that's similar, I might be way off base. But it's kind of like slammy death metal, I guess, or like East Coast 90s death metal. So maybe kind of somewhere between like Suffocation and Devourment, I guess. So, I don't know. This isn't really usually my kind of thing, but that's as close as I can come as far as the description. So, slaughter me if that's like way off base, but I think that's a fairly apt comparison for you. I was surprised to see this for $5 used. It's a double CD. It's Hornos, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sano Jesse Ariel or something like that. I've already got this on LP, and this is probably the last Horno record that I actually like quite a bit. It's a fucking killer record. I'm stoked to be able to listen to it in my car now. So that was the end of the first song. 17 minutes for the first song. I think the second song is like 23 minutes long or something. The whole full-length album has 2 songs on it. Not even changing a riff or tempo the whole time. Every part of it sounds the same. It's so good. Next one, I've got full length. This is Necrovation's self-titled record. This is a band that came onto my radar when I got their 7-inch from what's that label called? I can't think of what they're called. But I had their 7-inch and it's really good, and I thought I can't wait for these guys to put out a full length. And here it is. I don't know if this is their first full length or not. I want to say it is, but it came out on Agonia. I don't see a year on it. It might be 2 or 3 years old, but I remember listening to this and really liking it. So I thought for a couple of bucks, gotta have it. Okay. I'm surprised at the amount of doom I bought in this pile of stuff. Usually it's just like black metal, black metal, black metal, black metal. So this is, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Stabat Mater is how I say it. But Stabat Mater has an amazing song on what's it called? I'm gonna get it. It's on the Crushing the Holy Trinity triple CD full length, and they have this 20-minute long song. It's so unbelievable. It's just like the epitome of funeral doom, and they never really did anything as good as that. As far as I knew, where is it? Okay, it's called Above Him. I should know that because I listened to that song so much. By the way, killer comp right here. It's got, this is where I first heard MGLA, Deathspell Omega, Musta Surma, Clandestine Blaze, Exordium. Exordium is a cool band that I don't hear people talking about that much. Anyway, getting off track. This is Stabat Mater's first full length, and I don't know if this predates the compilation track or not. But this is a pretty good album. I didn't expect it to be even half as good as that song Above Him. I don't know what it is. I just gotta sing the praises of that song so much. That song is so fucking incredible. But if you don't know, this is Mikko Aspa's solo funeral doom project, and Mikko Aspa, of course, is the newer vocalist of Deathspell Omega. He's the only member of Clandestine Blaze. He also is in Nicole 12 and Grunt and Cream Face and a couple other things. And he also runs Northern Heritage. And you'd think with a guy that was in so many different bands, he'd be spread thin and all of his stuff would suck, but it's not the case at all. Clandestine Blaze continues to be a killer band. This is awesome. Yeah, and Deathspell Omega is really good too. Alright, moving on. We've got Benighted Leams. Ferlin Centaurs. Now, I don't know very much about this band, but everyone who's ever brought them up to me, and that's very few people, have told me that I would like this because of how strange they are. And everything that I've ever seen of this band, like online, people either love it or they hate it. So that tells me that it's really weird. And I think I'm probably going to enjoy this. I do know that the only member, I'm not sure if this is a solo project or not, one of the members of this band, Benighted Leams, is the person who runs Supernal Music, who puts this out, and a lot of other killer releases like Hate Forest and Druk, stuff like that. It's a pretty good European label. So I'm stoked to put that in and hear what Benighted Leams is all about. I want to say I might have listened to them once or twice and it didn't really stick, or I just don't know. So I'm happy to finally satisfy that curiosity about what Benighted Leams is all about. Next, so we went to Metal Haven Grill in Chicago just to see what it was all about. I was a big fan of Metal Haven back in the day. It was like one of the best metal record stores I'd ever been to, and sadly they closed about 4 or 5 years ago for good. But now they're back open both as a record store and a restaurant. We didn't eat there because the place, actually the kitchen was closed down and the place was just being used to let metalheads drink, which is kind of awesome. But we browsed the CD section for a couple of minutes, and this was the first thing I saw. This is Malaches Enki, and I think this is their last album. Maybe the one before that. But this is a killer band. This is on Nuclear Blast. And I would say, I want to say they're kind of like Absu, but with kind of a Mesopotamian theme to them. They use a certain kind of toning that makes, not toning, but tuning, that makes all their music just sound really unique and different. And I really like their riffing. It's just super speedy, fast black metal. All about like Egyptian history and stuff, or I don't know, am I being an idiot? I think they're originally from Israel. Iraq, Israel? God, I'm an idiot. I don't know. I should look this up before I talk about this guy. Anyways, Malaches is fucking awesome, and this record is no exception. So a couple of videos ago I talked about Azrael, and I think I mentioned that I asked a former member of this band, my buddy Tanner, over there, what album is good by them, and he said this one. So I sought to check it out, and I finally found a copy of it for a couple of bucks. This is a double CD, and I think they wanted $7 or $8 for it, so I'm stoked to check that out. As far as I know, it's just kind of straightforward black metal. It came out on Moribund in 2006. I thought that was older than that. Moving on. So this is a band called Volkvong. I don't really know much about this band, but I have listened to this album a couple times, and I really, really like it. It's kind of like folky black metal. It's really catchy, kind of thematic. Oh, by the way, the album is called Atmospheric Black. I don't really know what that means. It's not really my definition of atmospheric black metal, so I don't know. I'm curious to see what this is about. I know this album is really good. I've listened to it quite a few times, and for as cheap as it was, I'm happy to have it in my collection now. I believe they have a couple of other albums that are not as good as this one, so I was happy to see their best one pop up. This is another band I don't see enough people talking about. This is called Finner's Kane. This album is called Wanderlust. Now, this is an instrumental black metal record. Highly atmospheric, really mid-paced, almost like doom sort of tempo. But I wouldn't say there's anything like really deep or low or crunchy about it, like as you would expect in a doom record. It's just kind of like really slow and meditative, really peaceful and calming kind of black metal. It's a really unique thing, and I'm surprised more people didn't catch on with this band. They did a follow-up to this album 1 or 2 years ago. Now this one came out in 2010, so this is 6 years old, and there's a record after this excuse me, that does have vocals, and I did like that album, but I find this album a little bit more immersive, and I can just get lost in this record. It's a total winter album. I love listening to this album in the winter. But yeah, I would kind of say they sound maybe a little bit like Satyr or Falls Auroras, kind of in a way, maybe a little bit like Amestigon. But I can't recommend this band enough. If that sounds like it's up your alley. So this is a CD I don't really know jack shit about. Hemlock Crushed the Race of God. What I did know about this band was that they were around in the late 90s, actually 96 looks like, and that Dan Lilker from Anthrax was in this band. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Dan Lilker because I was never really a fan of SOD or Anthrax, but what I have seen over the years is that the guy has pretty good taste in black metal, and he likes to like kind of promote through his fame the good bands. And I've heard a couple of other of his projects throughout the years, and they were pretty decent. I can't think of any of the names of them right now, but this was $2 from Reckless Records, so you know I had to pick it up. So I'm curious to see what that's about, what it's like. I want to say I've heard that this is really good, and wondered why nobody talks about it. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get back to you on that. It says no synth wimps on the CD. Alright, so we're down to our last CD, and this is one of the coolest packaging I've ever seen on a record that maybe doesn't deserve it as much. But so, this is the County Medical Examiners, and the album is called Aulidus Operatas. So this is pretty much just a straight up Carcass ripoff band. They're unashamed about it. They're just like, Carcass is the best band ever. We want to pay tribute to Carcass, and that's what we're doing. This actually has a quote from Jeff Walker. He says, "Expect my lawyers with a cease and desist order anytime soon." Yeah, so it comes in like this medical blood bag. The cover artwork is just like Carcass's stuff. But the thing is about this band, and this is the story that always went around, was that the band was composed of 3 actual doctors. Now, I don't know how true that is. I've seen some stuff online where they said, well, 2 of them were actually like medical students and just worked as like overnight nurses. But this is the band picture, and it has this old guy playing bass in it. I always thought that was funny. But you know, there's Hemorrhage is also like a Carcass tribute band, and they're pretty good. Nobody seems to mind that they are regurgitating Carcass's music in such a fashion. But this also popped in my head the other day, and I thought, damn, I haven't heard County Medical Examiners in a long time. So it also comes with a program guide, and talks all about, so there's tons and tons of lyrics, just like Carcass's lyrics were just awesome. Casper draped in rotten viscera, popping blebs and bulbae sebum, navigating the semi-fluid black mass, charting decay for his seminal dictum. He noticed that corpses found submerged decayed half as fast as those uninterred. So it's just Carcass lyrics all the way. But it's got these medical instruments. It talks about them and stuff. It's a really cool packaging idea. Also, somewhere in the packaging it says that the disc is cadaver scented. Anyways, that was a couple of bucks, and I've been wanting to listen to this band again for quite a while, but I forgot until I got home that this is like their worst album, and that the ones before it were a little bit better. But it's cool to have. I'm not going to mind the space that it's going to take up there. But so that wraps up for my haul that I got in Chicago. I'm going to have to take it easy for a while and eat ramen probably, so that I can afford to continue living with this unholy habit of mine. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Share it with anybody who might like it. Tell people about it. And if you aren't subscribed, what the fuck are you doing? Come on. Just hit the subscribe button and let me know what you think. Hope you guys have a good metal week, a good metal everything, a good metal life. This is Brain Smasher signing out. Bye.